Just setting up the live stream. Oh, won't be long. Okay, let's go and close things down that don't need to be running. Check the volume levels. So they're looking okay. I'll raise that up to 15 for the aircraft. And we'll get on our way. So we are at Auckland in New Zealand. I have advanced time. Obviously it's very early in the morning in Auckland at the time of broadcast. So we are live. So I've advanced time so we at least have some daylight so you get to see some of the scenery along the way. If we go and have a look at LittleNavMap briefly, you can see us at Auckland. We're going to go VOR hopping basically down across the North Island of New Zealand. Then down across the South Island, the longest leg being 180 miles between Christchurch and Queenstown. But it should be good fun just to do some radio navigation along the way with the Vulcan. So let's go and get the aeroplane ready, shall we? So before we even get in the aeroplane, let's go and fuel it up. So flight performance, mass and balance, fuel. We've got 70%. So the entire route is 780 miles. So obviously it depends very much on... Should we just fill it completely up? Very much depends on how we operate the aircraft as to how far we get on a tank of fuel. But it should be good. We should be able to just about make that. We'll find out along the way, won't we? So, jump inside the airplane. So I'm following a written procedure. I've put the link in the notes of the video to get the airplane up and running from cold and dark. So just briefly show you that before we go any further, I guess. So if I go and pop a browser open and go to drive.google and type in Vulcan, you can see here's the raw version of that document. So it goes through all of the views you'll need, or the view control keys, and then most of the views, just like very good, their views are built in for everything you'll need to be doing around the aircraft. So you can see it tells you in the checklist exactly where to look to define the various switches that you'll need to operate throughout getting the airplane ready, and some basic notes on climb out and departure. So we're going to work through that together and get the airplane up and running. So cockpit view is Shift and 7. And we're going to go and put the ground power on and the Paloost, which is a compressed air generating machine. And then we're going to go to the airborne electrical operator position, which is on Shift and 2. And we're going to turn the master switch to on. Before we do that, let's go and have a look outside. So you can see there's the two machines we've just plugged in on the ground below the Vulcan to be able to start the aircraft up. It's fairly helpless sat on its own, can't do really much on its own. So master switch goes to on or up over here. Then the LP cock goes to open, and then press the start button. So we slide the guard across and press that in, and you'll see the APU PSI coming up and the temperature rising. So then battery isolation down here, we're going to flip it onto on and recover it, and then go to the alternators at the bottom left, uncage numbers 1 and 4. So here's number 1 and switch it on, and uncage number 4 and switch it on. Then in the first pilot position, so we're going to press Shift and Space, we're going to go and advance the oxygen to forwards. And then on the right side panel, which you can see this pilot is in the way at the moment, I believe, can we get, if we go to the second pilot position, yeah, he disappears. So then we can do the oxygen on his side as well. So then back in the first position, there's a bit of jumping around because obviously we're wearing all the hats. I'm going to go and look on the left side of the cockpit and find the UHF controller, and here it is here. We want to rotate it to the transmit receive Do we not want transmit, receive and guard? I don't suppose it makes much difference really for simulation purposes. So back in the cockpit we're going to go and press comma, which will calibrate the altimeter. Then go to the fuel cocks, so they are underneath here. So we're going to move the view and zoom around, pull the covers down, flick all the switches forwards and pull all the covers back up. Then we're going to go to the right side, and before we do it we're going to go second pilot, which will make this a lot easier for us. Although I say that, this is still really difficult to get to. There's a switch that hides behind everything down here. The pressure selector wants to go all the way forwards. Yeah, look, I've gone in. Everything's kind of jumbled on top of each other. Then external light goes to on or up. The nav light goes to, let's get this out of the way. Nav light goes to flash or down. And then we can go to the engine start sequence. So we'll do this from the pilot position. Okay, so we need to make sure we open all of the throttles. So we click on their stalks and that moves them out of shut off. I'm just going to make sure that my engines are mapped. They are. Then Shift and 8 will take us over to the air selector switches. So we want air selector to rapid or left. So that's here. And then we're going to put ignition on or to the right. And MSW, I can never remember what MSW stands for. So then within the cockpit we're going to advance the throttles to 50%. It's about there. And then we're going to come down to here and press the rapid start button, which starts all 4 engines at once. And then we're going to keep an eye on the engine instruments coming up, so you can see the RPM increasing across the board. So I'm going to let the engines come up to speed. I'm going to gently pull these throttles back. They don't need to be that high. Noisy sound, so isn't it? So throttles to idle, and then post engine start we're going to go shift 2 to the airborne electrical operator station, or AEO. Go to the alternators at the bottom right and switch them all to on and recage them. And then press the AAPP button to on up here. Okay, and then back in the cockpit we're going to go Shift and 8 again to look at the left side panel. We're going to go and turn the MSW to off and the ignition to off. And then we're going to go and pull the pedestal out. So if we look down here and pull the handle, move our system out of the way here. We're going to go and turn all of the fuel pumps on. So it's tank, all of the pumps across all of the tanks now. Okay, and then we go back over to the left side panel. Oh, actually no, before we do that we need to go and do the autopilot. Nearly forgot that. It takes a while for the autopilot to power up. So to do that we're going to go and pull the power, and it will take it a while. So it takes about 20 seconds and then the ready light will come on, so we can leave that while it's doing that. And then over on the left side, Shift and 8, we're going for the powered flying control section, which is this section here. We're going to pull the pitch, damper and auto trim buttons. So pitch, damper and auto trim. Oh, it's just the one on that. So we're going to pull then the feel A, R and E buttons on the right side. Notice they don't go out. And then we're going to press the PFC start A, R and E buttons on this side with holding them each for 1 second and waiting for the corresponding opposite light to go out. So hold that one in and let go. That one should go out. Famous last words, there it goes. Then, so that's ailerons, rudder and elevator. Wait for it to go out on this side. Okay, so then back in the cockpit we're going to remove the ejector seat pins, so I think that's just that click there. And then on the tablet we are going to go and tell it to close the doors. So bomb doors, crew doors, remove ground power, pollust and chocks as well. And then go shift and 9, or we can go second pilot first and then shift 9. Okay, so that hasn't got rid of the pilot. That's really strange. Normally it has now. Depends what view you're looking at then. We're going to go and put the taxi lights on. So port taxi lights to down and starboard taxi light to down, and we are essentially ready to taxi. So we'll taxi from the pilot's side of the aeroplane. Let's go and have a look at Auckland layout then. So we're going to be taking off. There's a crosswind 11 knots. Looks like we're going to be taking off. It just about favours 05 right. So we're going to have to make our way down towards the runway, towards the Alpha taxiway. So from here we double back. So I'm just looking at what's in front of us. There is this map isn't entirely accurate, look, because it's obviously just showing you the taxiways with the direct routes from here, but we could just nip across. So there's the runway, so we want to be going over there basically, so we're going to shortcut through all of this lot. So come off the parking brake. Try to avoid everything as best we can. We might clip the tail of the King Air over there. See if we can get in between the King Air and the grass. So let's go and turn on head tracking. Completely ignoring the taxiways. Check this on the map. So yeah, we're coming down towards the Alpha taxiway. We'll give ourselves the whole of the runway. So while we're taxiing, we can go and have a look. We're going to be taking off then runway 05, which is 51 degrees. So we could go and get the heading bug sorted out along the way. So I'm going to turn off head tracking while we're doing this, and hopefully we'll taxi in a straight line. And I always get this wrong. So that's the omni-bearing selector, but we want to set the heading bug to 51 degrees. We can also go then and set the course for our first leg of the route, which is 20 miles over to the Hamilton VOR. So we'll be departing on 133 degree radial. So we're going to set that on here. So we want 133 degrees pointing upwards. There's 90, 100, 10, 20, 30. 3 is going to be about there somewhere. Okay. So we're just going to wait here for a moment before we go onto the runway, and we've got the GPS showing at the moment, which is rather interesting. Not actually switched it on. I've no intention of using it actually. So let's go and turn the GPS navigation off. We're going to go over to the second pilot position and go and put the landing lights on. So that's the middle setting for both of these. And then go first pilot position, and let's pull out onto the runway. Should we have a look at those lights, by the way, while we're here? So you can see they are extended out each side of the aeroplane, so we're just creeping forwards. So you should find, with a little bit of luck, although this is a bit of a problem with this avionics kit. If I just show you this, the heading bug will not have stayed with us. So when this is pulled out, you get to change the heading bug. Notice it stayed where it was, which means we then end up having to turn this around to 51 degrees again. Is it 51? I think it was. Yeah. So there's our direction for takeoff. If we wish to use the autopilot, we probably won't use it immediately. So it's worth having a bit of a review, make sure we're not creeping forwards, of the modes here. So you've got bomb mode, which is heading mode. You've got localizer mode, and I think it's TACAN is straight up. So we're going to go for localizer mode on the HSI. And if we were wanting to use that, we have to pull up the track switch down here. But obviously that's only going to work if you've got the radio tuned in. So we're going to go and make sure that we've tuned in the Hamilton VOR 11400. It's got a range of 80 miles, so that's fine. It's only 60 miles away, but we may not get it into some altitude. So 11400, you can either do it by tuning in over here, or you can cheat and come in here and go in 11400. Okay, so just double check that, 11400, we should get the Hamilton VOR. And I'm just trying to remember if this thing has distance measuring equipment in the cockpit. Obviously we've got LittleNavMap to rely on as well. So this hasn't powered up. There we go, that's better. Have I missed that on my checklist? I must have done. I wonder if that's new. I'll have to double check that and look at revising my checklist. Okay, I'm just double checking around to make sure everything is looking okay. Obviously you can see we got full tanks almost across the board. Fuel pumps are on, autopilot is on, you can see the ready light is on should we wish to use it. Okay.
Power checked. 60 checked. 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, decision, rotate. Undercarriage up.
Gear up. Okay, so we want to be turning towards the direction of the VOR. Which is straight up in terms of our instrument here. You can see we're off to the left of the track. Obviously we've taken off and we're flying perpendicular to it almost. So we'll just overcompensate slightly, fly to say 150 degrees or so, just to straighten up our course. Power can come back to a more sensible amount. Okay. Autopilot, let's move it to altitude hold mode and pull it up and pull on track mode and then engage it by pulling here. And it's going to automatically track the VOR for us because it's in localizer mode. Well, that's the plan. So we're just about back onto the center line look of the CDI. So the airplane's doing that for us. About 4,000 feet, which is fine for some sightseeing along the way. I might need to just go and check the front door, hang on a second. Right, turn back. So now we're in the air, we can go and turn off the landing lights. So we're going to do that. And retract them. And we'll also come back over to the pilot position. And if we look down here, you will see there is a setting here between takeoff and cruise for the systems. So we're into cruise mode now. Okay. It's all plain sailing so far. Am I joinable in multiplayer? I don't know if I've got multiplayer on, to be honest. I'm probably on live. Let's go and have a look. If I press escape and go settings and online and check Southeast Asia, multiplayer is now on. Aircraft traffic types, return some on. Real-time online, save, back. So if I press outside, I think I've got nameplates on Control-Alt-N. So if I press Control-Alt-N, I think I'm on live though, so it will only be people running in live that will see me. And it may be too late in the session for it to kick in, so I may be all on my lonesome, we never know. Okay, so we're heading, as you can see, along the vector towards Hamilton. When we get to Hamilton, we'll change the radial to 88 degrees from Hamilton, and then we'll get a few minutes to go and retune over to the Rotorua VOR. Let's go and have a check on airspeed. So we're doing just under 300 knots. Engines are running at about 80% RPM. So we're looking okay. See if any names have appeared. If I press Control-Alt-N again, I think that's the key I've got set for it. Yeah, it may be not appearing. It's a great looking aeroplane, isn't it? Shall we come off autopilot and fly through the landscape a little bit rather than doing it all the way? So we're about halfway towards Hamilton at the moment. Let's go and disengage. Head tracking on. And let's go and fall down towards the river over here. Going to squeeze ourselves forward in the cockpit a little bit. Just a bit more representative of the real world experience. Okay, so I'm being told in the live stream chat I can follow the river pretty much all the way down to Lake Tapo. So let's have a look. Yeah, we're going to use the VOR just for the bit of interest along the way as well. Obviously if I go too low I'll lose the VOR signal, which will not be fun. Okay, we need to get back on track really. So we're going to cut across here. So this does have a distance measuring, but it's only within the last few miles, isn't it? Get it? I'm trying to remember where it is in the cockpit. Here. So obviously this is giving us, we're about 12 miles out, 13 miles out at the moment from the VOR. So we're doing just under 250 knots. I pulled the throttles back a little bit earlier. Let's go and open them up again. So let's just go and remind ourselves as we come in towards the VOR, we're wanting to leave on a vector of 88 degrees. Okay, so let's just straighten up as we come in towards the VOR. So let's go and align this already. So push it in to rotate this, and we want 88 degrees. 90. Oops. Would help if I could get the mouse on it, wouldn't it? It's because I'm using head tracking. There we go. So we need to turn left about 30 degrees in a moment. We are about 5 miles out. So we'll continue on the course we're doing. And then obviously the CDI will come whizzing across in a moment. We'll turn left to 88 degrees. Down to a mile. We begin a lazy left turn. Here comes the CDI. We've just gone through it, so we'll catch up with it obviously as we leave the VOR behind. So obviously while you're right over the top of the VOR, it's not worth really chasing the signal because you're on top of it, so the angles are obviously a lot bigger. As we fly away from it, the triangle between where we should be and where we are gets narrower, so therefore the CDI pulls in. I'll show you that on the map just so you get some idea of what we're doing. Look, we're just coming back in towards the track, and you'll see here comes the CDI, look. And we just turn right again. And follow the course we wanted in the first place. Just gently turning. It's not really rocket science, is it? Okay, so we leave on this 88-degree angle. We don't have to be super accurate about it, but we're going to be changing over to the Rotorua VOR in a moment. If we go and get the information on that from LittleNavMap. 112.10. Okay, so what we can do is turn the head tracking off, he says, famous last words. And just change the frequency down here. 112. Turn off the centering on here as well. 10. So you see this is alive again, the needle's off to the side, so we're just coming back in towards the 88-degree line. In fact, that could do with being a little bit more. Pull the heading bug around to match it as well. Here we're getting into this cloud. It would be nicer if we weren't. Climbed about 1,000 feet, look, and gone up into the cloud, which is not ideal. Especially with this landscape around, you really want to be able to see it rather than slam into a hillside. Okay, so we'll just gently turn right to get the wall of CDOs in the middle here. So Rotorua, obviously the distance measuring equipment here only shows you when you're within 20 miles of it, which is not ideal, but it'll do. So, should we get say intentions up and running? So what's our identity today? We are XH562. X-Ray Hotel 562, that's correct. I'll leave the intercom and everything as is. I'm not sure which way round we've got this set actually, let's try it. What can you tell us about Rotorua?
Rotorua is famous for its geothermal activity in Maori culture. It was established in the 1800s and is known for its hot springs, geysers, and mud pools. One of the most notable sites is the Pohutu Geyser, which erupts up to 30 meters high and is the largest active geyser in the southern hemisphere. The area attracts visitors who are interested in both natural wonders and indigenous culture, making it a unique destination. Plus, the smell of sulfur is a real conversation starter. Just remember, if you see steam rising, it's not just the coffee brewing.
Should we, I don't know if we can set a transponder, can we? Oh yes, we can. So, should we go in contact center 123.8 and ask for flight following? So, to do that, the quick way is obviously to click in here to pick up the frequency 123.8, and then we can talk to center. Center Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562 requesting flight following.
Vulcan 562, squawk 2462, and ident.
So we want 2462, let's turn the head tracking off. We don't have an ident button, unfortunately, so whether this will work, I don't know. Center Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562, now squawking 2462.
Vulcan 562, radar contact. 17 miles northeast of Tokoroa Airfield at 4900 feet, heading 072, Tokoroa QNH 1020.
There we go. So we can, they'll just keep an eye on us as we're flying along. And obviously they'll transfer us over as we fly through various areas. So we're wanting to fly out of here 141 degrees. So let's go and spin the... So 120, 130, 141 degrees. Let's also go and move our heading bug, that's the direction we're going anyway. So if we give ourselves a bit of an intercept angle before we get to that, when the CDI comes in we won't have such a big turn to make. Well, we know it's over the lake anyway. Whereabouts is the VOR? Okay, it's on the far side of the lake over here somewhere. Heading straight towards it, look. So we just dip down below this cloud. We crept back up, haven't we, to 5,500 feet into the cloud base. Start this gentle right turn as we get nearer to the VOR. So we've got 85 miles to run down to the Napier VOR. So let's go and set this for altitude hold. It's pulling us up to the level. So it's already on altitude hold on the autopilot. We'll go and engage it. It's already on track. So you can see it's already kicking in to go for the localizer. So it's trying to pull itself across and pull the CDI into the middle. And that's because we are off, obviously, to the left, the right of the track from our perspective. And you can see it's just doglegging across towards it. So Cameron in the live stream comments says, I'm glad I live in New Zealand and don't have to fly halfway around the world to explore it. Yeah, there's flip sides to that though, aren't there? I mean, it's a beautiful place, but everywhere has its good things about it and bad things about it. I'm sure there are frustrations about living in New Zealand, as well as there are, obviously you have beautiful landscapes on your doorstep. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Okay. How are we doing on sound? I'm not being... Oh, it is quite loud, isn't it, in the cockpit? I'm going to turn the engines down a bit so you can hear me over the top of it. So we are going to tune in a moment to the Napier VOR. You can see over here the... go show information for it. Range on it is 80 miles, but it was 85 miles in between these two, so 11380 should work. We'll try it. Turn the head tracking off so we can do this accurately. 11380. And we should have picked up the CDI. Let's see what the autopilot does. Is it going to roll right again? Or has it got it horrendously wrong? If we're ever in doubt, we can just go to bomb mode, which is heading mode, and move the heading bug. Whoops, not that. Move the heading bug the direction we want to be going. So you can see we want to be going 140 degrees down the map, so we move the heading bug to 140. And it's going to be too slow. Look, it's quite sluggish at responding on the autopilot, so we'll give it a moment to sort itself out. We can also then there we go, pull the omni-bearing selector around. So we may not quite have, because these hills are in the way, we might not quite have the signal. So if that being the case, what we could do is go and switch the altitude control over to indicated airspeed mode, which will take the speed at which time it's engaged. And then if we open the throttle slightly, in order to hold on to about 280 knots with more power, you can see it's just dipping slightly. It's climbing. So we're climbing about 2,000 feet a minute. Okay. So if we take it up to about 10,000 feet, so if we go full throttle, you'll see what happens. Look at the climb rate. So we're going to go above this cloud layer for the next bit of the journey. Hey, there comes 8,000 feet. Let's have a look at the map. About halfway towards Napier. Should we have a play with the GPS? I've not played with it before. So we want to go into the cog and turn on the GPS navigation.
Actually climbing to 5,500 feet. Request the flight following to November Zulu Delta Yankee.
I just clicked that by accident, didn't I? So we took off from Auckland, which was NZAA. And we are going via HNRO, so HN. That's interesting, look, it's a little bit broken.
562, contact Christchurch info on 123.6.
Contacting Christchurch info 123.6, Vulcan 362. 562, sorry. Christchurch info Vulcan 562 with you, climbing to 18,000 feet. Way above the clouds.
Vulcan 562, QNH 1021, climb altitude 18,000.
Climbing altitude 18,000, Vulcan 562. Yeah, I said 10,000, but then I thought, why not go a bit higher? It will get better fuel economy as well. We were going to put in some more waypoints in this, weren't we? If it will let us do it in a sensible manner. HNRO.
Altitude restrictions cancelled.
Altitude restrictions cancelled, 562.
Vulcan 562, altitude restrictions cancelled. 560 acknowledged.
Where were we? RO and then NR. So this should put the nearest one at the top, even though it's slightly broken. Yeah, you can see it's working slowly. And then PM. And then WN. We could have done this an easier way. We'll try it in a moment. Enter that one. So yeah, just out of interest, well, we've still got time. So we're going to go and jump across to here. Go flight plan, copy it to the clipboard. We're going to open up planner, so flight simulator it's planner.flight simulator, isn't it? And sign in with me and go to route and paste it in. Get rid of that bit. So there's our basic route. It hasn't got the end airport on it. Oh, Invercargill is just in. Oh no, I've got NV. I've missed it off, haven't I? So NZNV should be the final route. So there's our route. So we should be able to then save this, call it Vulcan, or just call it NZ, I guess. Save plan. So that saves it into the cloud. And then within the aeroplane, what we should be able to do is come in here and go to route and load the flight plan and load the NZ flight plan. There it is. And we should, with a bit of luck, be able to just send that to the avionics. Will it work? No, it won't. But we can see it on the tablet now, which is a slight advance over what we had before. So how far did we get? WN previously. Now we want WB. WB. Enter. Nearest. Then CH. Which is Christchurch. And it's got the wrong one, look. I don't think we can fix this either. This is a bit of a rubbish system. Oh well. So we're not going to be using the GPS. It's too broken to bother with. So we'll go and turn it back off. But we can still use the plan here. And we've blown straight through 18,000 feet as well, which was not great. So let's pull the throttles back, and to maintain speed it will descend down on its own. We'll come back down to 10,000. We don't really want to be this high. You get some nice views though. So if we have a look on the map, it's coming in over the top of Napier. We're going to change our heading to 205 degrees. Remember, we're on bomb mode at the moment, so 205 degrees. To do this, yeah, we'll leave that where it is for the moment. 205. The aeroplane's gently making this right turn while descending. But we don't quite need that much angle, do we? We'll go for 200 degrees. So you can see the aeroplane's just coming around towards it and it's straightening up. So, the bearing 77 degrees into the next VOR, which is Palmerston North, has got a range of 80 miles, so we might pick it up fairly quickly. 11340. Let's go back in here then. 113.
TBM November 239, Alpha Zulu, Napier departure. Contact O'Hakia departure on 125.
And we have picked it up, and we want a heading into it of 205 degrees, of course. So this is where this gets really frustrating, because the heading bug is going to stay in the same place.
Christchurch Control, New Zealand 9, flight level 340.
So you have to be quite quick about doing
Control,
this.
New Zealand 9, can we get descent instructions, please?
So obviously it's going to tell us that the CDI is off to the left. So what we'll do is put the heading bug over that way. So we'll come back in towards that course. How are we doing on altitude? Oh, we're down to 10,000 again. I've done it again, haven't I? Too busy. Let's climb up that last 1,000 feet to get us above the clouds. So we're just creeping up, using power to creep up that last few hundred feet, and then we'll stop the climb at 10,000, switch autopilot over to altitude hold. You can see we're coming in on an intercept with the radial. Just coming up to 10,000 feet now. Of course the aeroplane's going to dip slightly, just to help us. So there's 10,000, so what we can do is flick this over to altitude hold and pull it back up, and it'll be thereabouts. It'll take it a few seconds, like it's dipping around. So we've got just above 10,000, that's fine. Okay, should we open the engines up a little bit now? Get some speed on. And we've got a fairly longish leg, haven't we? So I'm going to go and grab a cup of coffee. If we wanted to, we could obviously go to localizer mode on the autopilot, and the airplane should crab across to the left to pick up the CDI. So you can see it's doing that. It's going to be pulling over to get onto that track. So you can see it on the HSI down there. Okay, I'm going to go and grab a coffee. I'll be back in a few minutes. I'll leave you on the outside view as we thunder across New Zealand.
I'm asking for descent instruction. New Zealand 9. New Zealand 9, Christchurch Control. Identified. Good afternoon.
Sky Hawk Uniform Alpha Tango contact over Kia approach on 125.1. Good day. Air New Zealand 22 Papa Romeo, climb and maintain flight level 330.
Okay, I'm back. So, in the nick of time by the sounds of it, because the aeroplane's behaving a little bit strangely, but we're coming in towards Palmerston North. We are absolutely whistling across the sky. About 330 knots. Let's pull the throttles back a little bit. So we will be changing our course to 189 degrees. So if we go and look down here, we want one, that's 200, one 190, so about there. So because I've done it early, the aeroplane's actually going to track right to try and get onto that radial. Yeah, you can see it doing it. So it's doing quite a hard bank because the CDI is to the right of us. So if you imagine, if you extend that radial, if I just draw a line here, not quite in a straight line, but you get the idea. It's trying to get onto that radial before we get to Palmerston North. So it's now turning left again, look. Hopefully that makes sense. So we will leave Palmerston North on this radial and continue straight on down to Wellington. So, tour guide, what can you tell us about Wellington in New Zealand?
Wellington, the capital of New Zealand, is located at the southern tip of the North Island. It's known for its stunning harbor and vibrant art scene. One interesting fact is that Wellington is home to the world's first fully functional, solar-powered bus fleet. The city is also famous for its wind, earning the nickname Windy Wellington. If you look closely, you might even spot the iconic Beehive building, which houses the executive wing of the New Zealand Parliament. And here's a fun tidbit. Wellington was the filming location for many scenes in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so it's a real treat for fans of the films.
Okay, so you can see the aircraft is just straightening up onto the course, and it's making a real mess of it because it's right over the top of the VOR. And obviously because its roll rate on the autopilot isn't great, and it's an antiquated system, it's not going to do any prediction like a modern system would. It's just going to chase the CDI and get itself into a real mess. So one way obviously to counter that is you go to heading mode when you are anywhere near a VOR. So obviously we want this track of 189 degrees. So the better method to do this would be, before it goes and gets itself into any more mischief, go to heading boat mode and put that onto 189 degrees, which is right there. So the airplane's just going to straighten up and follow it. Obviously laterally it might be off to one side or the other. We've more or less hit it on the head, look. So it will follow straight down now. The wind is behind us, 28 knots, so we've not got a crosswind that's going to push us across that track. So we should be good to go. Okay, on our way to Wellington. We will descend down and buzz the harbour at Wellington just for something fun to do. And then we'll climb back up as we cross between Wellington and the South Island cross over the Cook Strait. How are we doing for fuel? Let's go and have a look. Yeah, I'd be surprised. I don't think we'll get all the way on one tank. You never know though. If we don't push it too hard. I'm running at 75% throttle. Well, 75% physically, which turns out to be running the engines at 90 almost, which is a bit crazy. So if I pull this back to 50, just wondering what sort of speed it will do. So that equates to 70 something percent.
Vulcan 562, contact Christchurch info on 125.1.
Contacting Christchurch info 125.1, Vulcan 562. Christchurch info, Vulcan 562 with you 10,000 feet heading to Invercargill.
Vulcan 562, Christchurch info, roger. Climb altitude 18,000 feet. Invercargill noted as destination.
Climbing 180 feet. Vulcan 562. What they mean is flight level. So what we'll do is go indicated airspeed mode and open the throttle slightly. You can see the altitude's climbing. Doing about 3,000 feet a minute in the climb. I have to say I really do like Say Intentions. It's been very, very good. Say Intentions has a new product coming as well. Not sure when it will release. I'll talk a bit about it in a moment. We'll just get this up to 18,000 feet. So, Say Intentions has a free new product coming called Skynet, which is in development at the moment. I've got beta access to it, but I need to set up a session with some friends to try it out. So Skynet will essentially take over from the multiplayer in Flight Simulator, and it's a free product. You won't need the premium subscription to Say Intentions to use it. It essentially does aircraft injection, but it will do it not just in 2024 but across 2020, X-Plane, P3D, all of them. So you can all fly together, and obviously you'll all be able to talk to each other over the radio. I imagine they've chosen the name Skynet on purpose. But no, I think it sounds absolutely brilliant. So for people running ATC sessions, it's going to be the solution they've been after forever. Basically, to allow everybody running all the different sims to all fly in the same airspace and all see each other within each other's simulators. Because it does aircraft injection. But it would be, it's essentially the part of, well, VATSIM's always done it, hasn't it? But the bind of VATSIM is you have to be using the air traffic control, and this will free you up from being able, or having to do that. So you'll be able to do a group flight. Obviously, it would help if you have another voice channel also available to you for chit chat. So you might use Discord alongside it. But when you're communicating with ATC, and you'll obviously be able to hear each other as well when you're talking to ATC. which will be, you know, fantastic. And each of you will hear ATC talking to each other. So this is the interesting thing. I'm just reading Martin's comment there about hoping they might implement say intentions for the career mode. Well, obviously they're not going to. Flight Simulator is not going to let a third party interfere with career mode, but there would be nothing to stop you implementing it on top of career mode, if that makes sense. But also, say intentions already has a feature where you can essentially provide missions. Obviously it's not going to influence your career in the simulator, but they've already got this thing called Sky Ops, so you can act as like a spotter plane for fires and things like that. We've gone too high while I've been busy talking. We should have been at 18,000, shouldn't we? Let's just bring this back down again. There's this feature called Sky Ops in Say Intentions. So you've essentially got radio communication with the survey staff, to, you know, to spot fires or whatever it is. But it's all done through natural language, which is, you know, a huge advantage. So you can just talk to them over the radio while you are circling a fire, for example. Or they can be vectoring you towards, you know, where you will find, I don't know, a mountain climber that's broken their leg or whatever it is. We're just coming back down gently to 18,000 feet. It's worth pointing out we're above the transition altitude, so I haven't gone and done this, so I'm just going to sort it now. We want 1013, don't we? In millibars. In order to provide or to fly at the altitude we've been commanded accurately. Just lessened the descent rate to 500 feet a minute to give us half a chance of doing this somewhere accurately as we reach 18,000 feet. So we need to get across here, spin this round and pull it up again. And that means that the autopilot will hold us now at 18,000. So it holds you at the point you depress it, basically. Okay, so we're following instructions. How are we doing on fuel? It's the common refrain from me. How are we doing on fuel? We've got about half of our fuel left. How far have we actually travelled though? Not quite halfway. You know what, I'm going to shortcut the route to give us half a chance of getting there on the fuel we've got rather than messing around. So let's go and measure the distance from the Wellington VOR directly to Invercargill. So we've got 202 degrees. So let's go and do that in the aeroplane, and we'll just take it, we'll straight line it rather than go VOR hopping. We've done some VOR hopping, so it's not a huge problem. 202 degrees. So it's going to be about there. So we're just going to try and eke this out as efficiently as we can. Just pulling the throttles back to about 80%-ish. So it's turning at 300 knots. We'll try to be as efficient as we can and get all the way to Invercargill on one lot of fuel. Well, that's the hope. We've got a 24 knot tailwind, so I'm pretty hopeful we'll be able to do it. We can see there's the Cook Strait between us and the North Island. There's the water. Behind the cloud over there you should see Nelson, I think. Oh no, it's further over. It's the other side of those hills. So we're on a fuel-saving mission now to scrape our way across to Invercargill, but we'll obviously get some nice views of the mountains along the way. We can play games with having a look at the, so we want a couple of degrees to the left. It's a bit ready reckoning. 200 degrees I've commanded. Yeah, so we could make a spreadsheet up if we wanted to, and compare the burn down time versus the distance burn down of the fuel, but we don't have a digital readout, which makes it quite difficult to do. But basically what you would do is every sort of 15 minutes you take a reading of the fuel, and then you take a reading of the distance required to go on the map, and you compare the burn down times to see which one gets to zero first. So I've done it before. If I go into, I'm not sure if I've still got the spreadsheet, let's go and have a quick look. If I go to Google Drive and go to, if I type in fuel burn prediction, here we go, look, you can see where I've done it in the past, looking for that. So we've got amount of fuel left versus distance to go. I was obviously doing a transatlantic trip, so I knew I had a lot of fuel left, and I was just filling it in on every few minutes, or every hour in this case, to see what the burn down was looking like. It's an easy thing to do. Okay, so we're now just crossing over to the South Island. Let's go and have a look at our speed. So we're doing about 280 knots. Running at just over 80% RPM, so fuel economy should be pretty good. Do we get, is there a fuel flow meter in this aircraft? So we got obviously the RPMs. Temperatures.
Walker 4573, descend altitude 4,000 feet.
descend to 2,500 feet, Auckland Center. Descend to 2,000.
So yeah, this just gives you the amount of fuel. It doesn't give you fuel flow rate, does it? It's a bit of a shame. Ah, no, it's over here, look. Just looking around. I'm just thinking, I'm sure it's here somewhere. It doesn't appear to be working. I've not switched something on. Fuel flow. I'm not sure how that works. I'll have to go and read the book.
Vulcan 562, contact Christchurch Control on 123.7.
Contacting Christchurch Control 123.7, Vulcan 562. Christchurch Control, Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562 with you, 18,000 feet en route to Invercargill.
Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562, Christchurch Control, greetings.
Okay, so we just got flight following on today. We've not actually got a flight plan filed with them, which is why we're able to pretty much do what we want. These hills look amazing, don't they? So what's the big hill over here? Let's have a look on the map. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Tapua o Ueneku, is that correct? See it here, look.
Christchurch Control, FedEx, 1030. Flight level 340, climbing to flight level 350.
FedEx 1030, Christchurch Control identified. Good evening.
Okay, so there's obviously nothing to stop us tuning into the various VORs along the way. So if we go and tune into Christchurch 11530, we'll get the readings from it along the way. I'm not sure what the range is on it, of course. Let's have a look. So right click, show information for VOR DME Christchurch 11530, 80 miles range, which we are probably beyond at the moment. So if we go and measure the distance from the VOR to us, we are 94 miles away. So it will probably switch on fairly soon, and you'll see the CDI go whizzing across. That's some pretty rugged landscape, isn't it? So we don't need that anymore. Let's go and have a look at... Oh, there's an update to say intentions. So it's only a minor one. So I'm not going to bother with that one for the moment, not while we're flying. But yeah, I think the Skynet will be a game changer for say intentions. For one thing, it will allow 2020 and 2024 users to fly together.
Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562, Christchurch Control, contact Christchurch. Info on 123.5.
Contacting Christchurch info 123.5, Vulcan 562. Good day. Okay, where did that go? It's rather interesting. We're on 123. So, yeah, it just suddenly cut out, didn't it? Christchurch info, Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562 with you, flight level 180 en route to Invercargill.
Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562, Christchurch info, greetings.
So let's see how we're doing. Not that I'm paranoid about fuel, but we've got slightly less than half now. I think we'll be fine, to be honest. If we, yeah, we're straight lining it. Look, we're saving a lot of fuel by not wiggling around all over the map. There is a temptation to go and visit Queenstown. But I haven't been down to Invercargill for a long time, so I thought it would be fun to come down here. Go and fly along the beach where Bert Munro did his motorbike testing. I think it's along here, isn't it? Many, many years ago. Right, I'm going to sign off for a few minutes. I'll leave the airplane flying and obviously leave it on the screen. I'm just going to go and do a couple of chores and then I'll be back in time for approach into Invercargill. I'll see you in a bit. Hey, I'm back. So let's go and see if we have got a reading from the VOR at Christchurch as we go whizzing past. So remember, there's only a 20-mile range on that instrument inside the that's not very helpful, is it? It doesn't give you the numbers. So if we go and add range rings to it, so that's the point at which the instrument in the cockpit will show a decreasing range. Obviously you can see this is saying that it's off to our left, which is absolutely true. It is off to our left. How are we doing on fuel? A little bit below halfway now. And we're way past halfway in terms of the actual route, so I'm inclined to descend down and go and fly along the hills along the way, make it a bit more interesting now. Okay, so let's go and turn the autopilot off. So we will need to talk to Christchurch, won't we? So Christchurch info, Vulcan 562 descending to a low altitude. Christchurch info, did you read?
Vulcan 562, Christchurch info, reading.
Christchurch info, Vulcan 562 descending to low altitude.
Vulcan 562, descend your requested altitude. Say requested altitude.
Not above 5,000 feet, Vulcan 562. I think we're starting to lose the signal on them, aren't we? So we're going to stay to these hills to the right. You have to just be a little bit careful because we're getting low. We're only at 3,500 feet, look, and it's pea soup. There we go, look. So we're going to be dodging the hills and the clouds for the rest of the way by the look of it. Should make it a bit more fun and a bit more interesting for you to watch. So basically going to trace the edge of the hills all the way down, just to give ourselves some bit more fun. Better look where I'm going. Climb away from the ground and let it carry on its own way. So let's go altitude hold. Did it a bit too slowly. We're going to be slightly above 5,000 feet by the time it sorts its life out. Let's go and talk to Christchurch Info. Christchurch Info, Vulcan 562 requesting climb to 10,000 feet.
Climb altitude 10,000 feet.
Climbing altitude 10,000 feet to Vulcan 562. coming up to 9,000 feet, we'll start pulling the throttles back gently to decrease the climb rate. Coming up to 10,000, so we switch this over to altitude hold, and we can increase the throttles. Taking a couple of pictures along the way. I always forget to take photographs in the simulator. Hey, right, I'm going to take a break. I'll be back in a few minutes when we get a bit closer to Invercargill.
562, contact Christchurch Control on 129.3.
Okay, just nipping back in, looks like we need to go and contact Christchurch Control. Contacting Christchurch Control 129.3 Vulcan 562. Christchurch Control Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562 with you 10,000 feet en route to Invercargill.
Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562, Christchurch Control, Marina QNH 1016.
Copy QNH, Vulcan 562. Okay, let's see how we are doing. I guess the question for us is, do we go and have a bit of a detour over to Queenstown? How we do, I guess that will be dictated to you by how much fuel we've got. We haven't got a great deal of fuel left, look. Not a lot at all, so I'm inclined to go straight for Invercargill. What are we running at the moment? Just below 90%. I'm going to pull throttle back to 80% or thereabouts. We have been helped a little bit by a tailwind most of the way. In fact, we may have to make a decision of, do we go for Invercargill or do we go and stop at Queenstown? because I'm not sure we're going to make it. I'm still wondering why the fuel flow meter is not running. Ah, here we go. This I'm being silly, aren't I? I wonder what that one does then. If this one shows the fuel flow here, what does that one show? Unless that's like a reservoir, I don't know. So we're using, I don't know, 4,000. Okay, so once we reset that zeroed this. That makes sense. But at the present moment, sorry, 470 pounds a minute. We have pounds an hour, sorry, not a minute. 470 pounds, no, that's pounds a minute. That makes no sense. So I guess you add these together though, don't you, thinking about it? So we've got about 1,500, 3,000, and then another 4, so 7,000 between the 4 tanks. We haven't got many minutes of fuel. Do you know what? I think we're going to have to go for Queenstown. It's going to be cutting it very fine if we carry on for Invercargill. How far away is Queenstown? 70 miles away. Let's go and this is going to be an interesting one. Let's go and throw this at Gemini. So if we go and type into Gemini, you can see some of the random things I've asked it about recently. If we are burning fuel at £470 a minute, and we have 4,000, no, what did we say, 7,000? 7,000 pounds of fuel, and we are travelling at, no, what speed were we travelling at? About 275 knots. How far can we travel before running out of fuel? $68 miles.
Vulcan 562 contacts Christchurch info on 122.2.
Contacting Christchurch info 122.2 Vulcan 562. Christchurch info Vulcan 562 with you 10,000 feet. Please request direct to Queenstown.
Vulcan 562, direct to Queenstown approved. Maintain 10,000 feet.
Direct to Queenstown of Vulcan 562. So we want to go 240 degrees. $58 miles away. Gemini said based on our currently, we'll have 10 miles left over. There's no way we would have reached Invercargill, unfortunately. And I'm going to disobey ATC and not descend.
New Zealand 675, that's 19,000.
ANZ 75, Christchurch info identified. Good evening.
Christchurch info, hello, it's Jetstar 100, Jetstar 104, descend into flight level 100.
Jetstar 104, Christchurch info identified. Good morning.
So what did this say? Burn time 15 minutes. That's crikey. We are going to be running it fine, aren't we? So let's lessen the speed a little bit, or lessen the fuel flow a little bit more. We're going to be coming into Queenstown on fumes. What we need is a Victor tanker in front of us, isn't it? I don't think I've got any of the add-ons. Oh, I have. I've got flight control replay installed. But that's not what we want. We actually want the one that does in-flight refueling. So let's go and tune in to the VOR 11360. And it's going to be a real pain because switching this through to coming in at 240 degrees into the Queenstown VOR. It's going to move the heading bug as we do it, which is a real pain. Okay. We're going to have to fly straight in. There's a crosswind where we are of 22 knots from the north, but it probably won't be the same down in Queenstown. It's from 020, so from the north 5 knots. So because it's quite sheltered down here. So if we come straight in runway 23, we'll have to contact Queenstown in a few minutes and hope. So let's go and draw a range ring around them of 20 miles will be fine. When we get 20 miles out, we'll try to call Queenstown. and hope for the best. It's become unintentionally quite tense now.
New Zealand 643, passing flight level 233 for 5,000. Descending on the Alabama 3 Alpha.
New Zealand 643, Christchurch info identified. Good evening.
NMA3, contact Queenstown approach on 122.905.
122.905, number Mike 83.
How are they on fuel? Not great. Not sure we'd even have enough room for a go around. So in terms of these hills, if we tried to head straight for the valley and descend into it, and then follow it through to Queenstown, hopefully will be good. Should we try and contact Queenstown already? So is it already showing up? Yeah, it is, look. So we want to go for approach. Before we do that, Christchurch info, Vulcan 562 changing frequency to Queenstown International approach. I don't think they'll come back to us.
Vulcan 562, contact Queenstown approach on 125.75.
Oh, they did. Contacting Queenstown approach 125.75, Vulcan 562. Good day. Queenstown approach, Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562 at 10,000 feet, approaching you from the southeast.
Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562, Queenstown departure, greetings, Cromwell QNH 1015.
Requesting descent for direct in approach. Runway 23. Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562.
Vulcan 562, descend altitude 171 feet, cleared for direct approach to runway 23.
Descending as requested for direct approach runway 23, Vulcan 562. So we should be able to see the valley straight in front of us.
Vulcan 562, continue descent for direct approach to runway 23.
So autopilot off. And begin descending. Didn't think this was going to be this exciting, but here we are.
Vulcan 562, contact Christchurch info on 122.2.
Negative. Vulcan 562 is on approach, runway 23.
Flight level 200, Victor Alpha Tango.
Vulcan 562, continue approach to runway 23.
Continuing approach, runway 23, Vulcan 562.
Vulcan 562, runway 23, continue approach.
I know I'm a bit fast below 10,000 feet, but to be honest, I want to get there. we go and have a look on the map, you can see we're just coming into this valley, so we hug the hills to the left, and that should bring us straight in for runway 23. So we're down to £1,000 in each wing and about 1,500 on the inner tanks. So we've got more than I thought we would have. ILS from this direction? No, we don't. There's no ILS. Okay, that's fine. We can see the runway though. Queenstown departure, contacting Christchurch Tower.
Vulcan 562, you are still with Queenstown approach. Continue approach to runway 23.
Oh, idiots. Maybe they haven't got tower on today.
Echo Mike Papa, contact Christchurch info on 122.2.
122.2, Echo Mike Papa.
Switching to Queenstown Tower on 118.1, New Zealand 611, have a good day. 350, New Zealand 612.
We have names turning up. Interesting. Control Alt N. Let's turn them off. Coming in at 150 knots ish, which is about right. We're a bit high though. Okay, what happened to the parachutes? Are we going to stop in time? Probably not. Onto the dirt. I wonder if they can give us some fuel here. I flicked the parachute switches the wrong direction. I didn't have much time to think about it though. So let's go straight in here because we don't want to mess around. And we're going to pretend, if we press Ctrl Alt F. Oh, it doesn't work in this aeroplane. What about Ctrl Alt R? That does it. That gives us a full tank of fuel. So then we're going to press Shift and P. Oh, is it Alt and P now? Sorry.
Tower approach, United 522 request tower.
United 522, contact Queenstown Tower for landing clearance.
New Zealand 636, climb and maintain 9,000.
So we're going to carry on our way to Invercargill now. So Alt P stops the pushback. Well, the only reason the purchase has vanished, Firefox, is because the marketplace isn't there yet. So the only aircraft that were carried over when 2024 launched were the famous flyers, essentially, and the local legends. Third-party aircraft did not transfer over yet, because they would be in the marketplace, and the marketplace isn't there yet. So it's not a case of anybody messing up, it's just a case of it takes time to do things, to get everything working. The new marketplace is going to have a lot more functionality than it had previously.
Vulcan 562, contact Christchurch info on 122.2.
Contacting Christchurch info 122.2, Vulcan 562. Christchurch info, Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562 with you, departing Queenstown en route to Invercargill.
Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562, Christchurch info, greetings Queenstown, QNH 1014.
We don't need to respond to that, it was just information. So Gear is up, flaps are up, spoilers are up. Down, I should say. So we'll follow the valley the way we came in, and we're going to then turn out onto a bearing of 170 degrees. So should we do it now? We have lots of performance in the Vulcan to do this sort of thing. Coming up through 250 knots as we speak. Did I say 250 degrees? No, 170 degrees. There we go. So straight over the top of the hill. Buzz the hilltop. So let's go and make sure we're not going to hit these hills first. And pull the heading bug back round to about 170 degrees. Put this on bomb mode, which is heading hold. So, I think in the comments there, I think you're all getting a bit confused about third-party aircraft versus marketplace aircraft. So obviously the Vulcan is in the sim as a third-party aircraft in the community folder. But if you'd bought it in the marketplace, then obviously it hasn't reappeared yet because the marketplace isn't there yet. Same is true of the Avro RJ100. If you'd bought it from Just Flight on the PC, then you're able to go and install it. I've got it in 2024. If you bought it from the marketplace, it hasn't appeared yet because the marketplace isn't there yet. Okay, you're coming up through. Actually, I didn't want to be going that high. I want 10,000 feet. Let it descend down gently to 10,000, and then we'll continue on to Invercargill. You can see we're already going the right direction. So we can tune in the VOR while we're descending. So we want 11680 for Invercargill. And we're heading straight for it, but I think what's the range on that? Let's go and have a look. Right click, show information. No, we've missed it. Show information for Invercargill. We've got a range of 80 miles. And we're just at probably on the outskirts of its range right now. So if we were to spin the DME round, not DME, the omni-bearing selector, obviously then we have to play games with pulling the heading bug back round. And the aeroplane will get there eventually. So having not used it, quite fortuitously actually, having not used the brake chute, that means we do get to use it at Invercargill.
56 Christchurch Center. Contact Queenstown approach on 122.905.
Wonder if we can switch over to Invercargill at some point. I'm not sure if it's got a controlled tower actually. Let's go and have a look. Let's go and click on Invercargill and go to com. No. Oh, they got. Sorry, I apologise. They have tower. 118.5 and 122.40. So we should be able to talk to Invercargill Tower when we get a bit closer. Just coming up to 10,000 feet. So what we'll do is go and switch this to altitude hold and pull it up. And it will hold 10,000 feet for us on the way to Invercargill. So when I went to activate the chutes, I must have jettisoned them, yeah, instead of pulling them out in. So can I reload it in here? Good question. Recharge air. I guess because I hadn't deployed the chute, there's nothing for it to fire. If I say auto shoot, it should open as soon as I have weight on wheels, shouldn't it?
New Zealand Center, Kilo Whiskey 50 Charlie. I'm heading into IMC conditions. Can I get an IFR flight plan open? Request vectors to November Zulu Mike Foxtrot.
Should we go across this last bit towards Invercargill at low level? Make it a bit more fun, won't it? So we've got about 40 miles to run. Who are we talking to on the radio? Christchurch Info. Christchurch Info, Vulcan Victor Hotel 562, descending to low level. It's Victor, no, X-Ray Hotel. Correction, Vulcan X-Ray Hotel 562, descending to low level. Turn the autopilot off. So someone's saying this looks like a steep descent. Well, it's a warplane. It can do it. It's pretty flat across here, isn't it? All the way into Invercargill. Okay, let's have a look at the map. Can't be far away now. Yeah, there we go, look. So Invercargill is just coming up. So let's go and get a bit of height. Whoa! I think we just overstressed the aeroplane. That was fun. Now the problem is, can we get the aeroplane to fly before it just slows down too much and stalls? Gonna be dodgy. Or if it's starting to drop its nose, can I get the nose to drop? This is the problem. If you ever do anything like I just did, the simulator will put the airplane in an unrecoverable situation, and the Vulcan has almost no nose down. So I'm trying to use the rudder to get the nose down. There we go. So we need to get some bearings on the runway.
Santa Kodiak 3 Charlie Golf, requesting IFR clearance to Queenstown.
Kodiak 318 Charlie Golf, Invercargill info. IFR clearance to Queenstown is approved. Maintain present heading and altitude.
So we're wanting to come in runway 04. So we're just going to switch straight over to Invercargill tower. If that, yeah, here we go, 118.5. Invercargill tower, Vulcan X-ray Hotel 562, entering downwind for left pattern into runway 04.
Vulcan X-ray Hotel 562, Invercargill Tower. Continue downwind for runway 04. Report when turning base.
We'll report when turning base, Vulcan X-ray Hotel 562. So, if we did this properly, unlike the rapid disassembly we just simulated, let's go to second pilot and put the landing lights on. Back to first pilot, and that's the danger. Because the aeroplane is completely out of trim now. Just trying to trim it as we fly. So you can see now on the map, yeah, we're going too slowly now. About 10 or 15 knots below what we need to be at. There we go. So we'll give ourselves a few miles we'll come out over the coast. Yeah, that's a good reference point. And then we're going to turn 90 degrees. Still a bit slow. Invercargill Tower, Vulcan 562, turning base, runway 04. Invercargill Tower, Vulcan 562, turning finals. Why are they not responding to me? Go.
Vulcan 562, taxi to 1 via Alpha Monitor, this frequency.
Taxi to 1 via Alpha and monitor this frequency, Vulcan 562. Somehow I don't think their taxiway is really built for taking a Vulcan. We just about fit on it, look. With a bit of a squeeze. Just for a laugh, let's go and taxi in between everybody else. Just to see the size disparity before we end the flight. This is where the sim crashes my airplane for touching that tree. Yeah, I've touched the tree. So what I'm going to have to do is press Alt and P to push us back. I'm not sure if we can steer while being pushed back. No, we can't.
Bidder, can you please reload my IFI plus, please?
Kodiak 318 Charlie Golf, Invercargill Tower, unable to assist with IFR flight plan reload. Contact Christchurch, information on 122.2 for further assistance.
That's funny. It's one way of getting past them, isn't it? Oh, I think we just took the top of the tail off the Bonanza there. A Baron, I mean, sorry. Okay. We survived well, other than the unplanned disassembly while messing around en route to Invercargill. But so, easiest way to shut the engines down, I guess, will be to cut the fuel off to them. Obviously you can do it via the throttles as well. Is it going to let me actually get to the switches? No, it isn't, look. Oh no, it is. You just have to click in the right place. Okay, obviously you can go around the rest of the cockpit turning things off, like the alternators and the various power generation devices. We can go and switch the batteries off and do everything. We can do it, doing it all in the wrong order, of course, but you get the idea. We'd never used the radios, the autopilot spin. Interesting. Well, you've got no power, you can't actually control the autopilot power switch. Can you imagine having an aircraft like this still operational? I mean, it costs millions and millions to operate a Vulcan, which is why there aren't any flying anymore. Plus, there's no spare parts and no specialist knowledge about servicing it either. It's all gone with the people that worked on them. Anyway, that was good fun. Flew the length of New Zealand from one end to the other. Did some of it low level, some of it high level. And yeah, we scraped into Queenstown on fumes and then did a rapid unscheduled disassembly just to the north of Invercargill, which was quite amusing. I'll see you all again soon anyway. Hopefully you enjoyed that. It's good to be back in the sim. I had a few days away, so it's good to have a break sometimes. The world doesn't completely revolve around Flight Simulator. Take care.